Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming today. If anybody wants to sit down, we have a couple of seats left here at the front. It's not like church. We're not going to call on you. You can come up front. I'm Julie Kerr. I'm the head of corporate communications for Denso in North America. I want to welcome you to our press conference today. We've got a couple speakers. We've got Terry Helgeson, who's our Senior Vice President of Industry Relations, and Justin McBride, who's our Senior Manager of Body Control Systems. So I'm going to turn it over to Terry now, and he'll get things started.
Thank you, Julie. Good morning, everyone. You know, I was just crunching the numbers, and we have some good news and some bad news. If you remember, last year, Denso announced that we will invest nearly $1 billion and create more than 2,000 jobs in North America over a 4-year period. 750 million and 1,200 jobs were here in the U.S. I'll start by giving the bad news. The bad news is that we are off with the number of jobs that we said we were creating in the U.S. But the good news is that we created more jobs. To date, we've created more than 1,100 of the 1,200 jobs. And before I announce our expansion update, I want you to take a look around. Over the last 24 hours, our customers have unveiled some impressive vehicles. And we're excited because there's a tremendous amount of Denso technology out there. To be successful in the high-tech automotive industry, we found it necessary to invest heavily in R&D. We continue to spend about 9% of our consolidated sales on research and development. And you also have to plan ahead. About a year ago, Denso rolled out a long-term plan that outlines our efforts to protect lives and preserve the planet. To some, that may sound like lip service, but I assure you it's not. There's one thing in particular our global president, Kato, said during the rollout of that really resonated with me. He said Denso's societal responsibility must equal to the size, to its business and scope. And given our size, we have a significant amount of responsibility. Then he said that Denso must consider society and people first, not just focusing on financial numbers and short-sighted business decisions. Think about that for a moment. Denso doesn't say these things to gain media attention. We say this because we've been practicing them since our inception. And we say these things because genuinely we believe this is our responsibility. By 2020, the world population is on course to reach 7.7 billion people, and vehicle ownership is forecasted to reach 1.4 billion vehicles. They project the annual traffic accidents will claim 2 million precious lives. That's why we at Denso are redoubling our commitment to safeguarding the global environment and to minimizing traffic accidents. Last year, when we talked about our global investment, we stated that our investment is not just in emerging markets, but also in expanding our manufacturing capabilities in mature markets like North America. We also talked about how important it is for Denso's survival to do research and development around the world. In North America, we continue to focus our HMI, human-machine interface technology development, here in the US. Last year, we said Denso's expanding its R&D capabilities in North America. You know, when you're expanding R&D capabilities, sometimes you need a little more room. So with that, we're excited to announce that we're expanding our North American headquarters in Southfield, Michigan. Denso has purchased a 140,000 square foot building that is located next to our current campus. The project includes labs and testing facilities to support the development of fuel savings technologies and infotainment and connectivity products. The investment is approximately $10 million and includes the purchase of the building, renovations, and other costs. We are in the process of adding approximately 176 jobs through 2015 in engineering, sales, and professional positions to support our expansion. On the manufacturing side, we are investing an additional $50 million and adding another 130 jobs to our Athens, Tennessee facility to expand gasoline direct injection lines. This is in addition to the $55 million and 130 jobs we announced last year. Last October, we announced that Denso will open a warehouse operations in Montgomery, Alabama, where we will ship HVAC and other thermal products to our regional customers. This represents about $2.2 million investment and will result in at least 45 new positions. The start of operations is in the spring of 2014. Out of the 1,200 jobs, we have added more than 640 in Tennessee, 425 in Michigan, and 50 in California. As you can see, we are committed to the North American market, the most competitive and challenging market in the world. No one would have said this 5 years ago, but it's a great time to be in the automotive industry. We have seen continued vehicle sales growth over the last 4 years. But while we've survived the downturn, moving forward, we have many challenges facing us, but they're exciting challenges. And some of these challenges are distracted and teen driving. I will turn it over now to Justin McBride to talk about our R&D teen driving study.
Thank you, Terry. Let me start out with a question, if you'll let me do that. I'm curious, if we think back to when we were in high school, what we would consider the most dangerous thing that we did. If I was to answer that question, it would depend. If I answered it when I was younger, I'd say it was riding my four-wheelers or jumping off a 40-foot train trestle into the water. But if I answer that now, knowing what I do today, I would actually be driving to get to that train trestle or to those four-wheelers. My perspective's changed quite a bit over the years. If we look at society's perspective on teen driving, we spend $250,000 today to raise a child from 0 to 18. I know the number sounds a little large. I didn't really believe it when I heard it. Now that my kids are getting older, I think they're going to eat their way to that $250,000. But when we train our teens to drive, we actually spend more money on car insurance at a 6-month period than we spend training them to drive. And that's kind of staggering when we consider that every 55 seconds, one teenager is hurt in an accident. Actually, teenage driving kills 3 times more teens than any other cause of death. In our great country, the most dangerous thing we're letting teenagers do today is drive. Now, I don't want to start off this press conference on such a bad note and leave it here because it's too early in the morning. There's good news following this. I work for a company that cares. If you look at our signs, bringing safe driving technology to you. We created in Southfield, Michigan, what we call the Elevate Lab. What this is an industry-unique mix of engineers, designers, and researchers, and we take a holistic approach to tackle some of the biggest problems that industry faces today. Some people will say that technology is the problem for teen driving, and of course there is some issues with all the new technology. But our group and our lab, we look at it a little bit different. We think that technology actually can be part of the solution. If we look at the rate of change of technology over the last 100 years, you think of someone that was maybe born in the 1900s, seeing horse to car to planes to space. And if we listen to the experts' predictions, they say that in the next century, it's going to change 1,000 times faster than that. So our job is kind of to take those technologies and our understanding of teens and to apply those to the best solutions that we can to solve the teen driving challenge. Some of the things that we look at is understanding why the teens are so inexperienced, what the causes are. So the physical problems that teens had since they started driving still exist. For example, scanning habits, speeding, those type of things. And then now the way they socialize makes it even worse. The tweets, the texts, the Instagrams. So what we're working on is how do we augment their awareness? How do we help them build better habits? How do we aim the interfaces higher so they can look at the road better? And how do we give them interaction models that they're more familiar with? Now, we can't stop there, and for years we've had this challenge. As we propose these new solutions and these new systems, how do we actually know that they're safe, that they're better than what the teens are already in today? And not just teens, any driver for that matter. For years we've been working behind the scenes to solve this problem. And finally today we can announce that with the vision and dedication of Sylvia Paula from Denso, MIT Age Labs, and Touchstone, we have a new consortium to tackle this problem. The initial members of this consortium are Honda R&D, Subaru Research and Development, and a Jaguar and Land Rover. What this consortium does is it aims to develop new perspectives and methodologies for a holistic approach to how to measure driver demand. So currently it's very subjective. We want to make it more objective so we can have numbers. So instead of asking drivers, how do you feel about these systems, we watch their eyes, we measure their heart rate, we measure their skin conductance, and then we build a model around that to understand how these systems affect the cognitive load of a driver. We also need to know what impacts the driver outside the vehicle, or what impacts the driver inside the vehicle. And once we know those things, we can develop what we call the human-machine interface electronic control unit. We believe that once we can develop this unit, it will make cars safer today and improving as a building block for autonomous driving tomorrow. Now, Denso, as a mega supplier, we have a lot of resources, a lot of products to pull from, a lot of know-how, and we want to offer our support to industry to address these challenges and other challenges that we face today. And I'll turn it back over to Julie. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to open up the floor for Q&A. We've got a couple of people with handheld microphones, so if you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. Any questions? Tom's got one.
Tom Murphy at Ward's Auto World magazine. So the question about your consortium, it looks like you're focused on the control unit for the HMI. Why not just design a whole new HMI, and why focus strictly on the controls?
Yeah, sorry, the consortium actually is how to measure any multimodal interface. The consortium has nothing to do with a product. It's actually building a tool and an algorithm that we can test drivers with any new system of solutions. So we're looking at their eyes, their heart, their skin conductance, and what the cognitive load is of the driver with systems today, new systems or conventional systems, and from their load we can judge whether the systems are better or not. The control unit is something Denso's making. This tool is something that we hope can go across all industry.
Anybody else? No other questions? Oh, sorry, Jim.
So the consortium will be at each location, or is there a central location? You've got several spots there?
Yeah, so MIT Age Labs is handling the administration, and so then the consortium, obviously, we move around from place to place on our quarterly or monthly meetings, and depending on what's going on at that time. So it's doesn't have its own location. It's housed within the other.
Monthly.
Yeah, monthly updates, right? Yep.
Other questions? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I just want to make a little note in case you hadn't heard. Governor Snyder and MEDC and Square One are holding a news conference in our booth this afternoon at 2:30 to discuss autonomous and connected vehicle technology and pre-collegiate education. So I invite everybody to come back at 2:30 this afternoon. And then if you want to get coffee or some breakfast, a beverage, please